I'm Allie with Potomac Bead Company, and today I am going to make along with you this beautiful bracelet design that was created by Rita Ritskes, and she allowed me to do the design and sent the idea off for me to make a video for you guys to enjoy her design as well and to make one for yourself. This Stormy butterfly bracelet does include a number of Potomac exclusives. You'll need some 2-hold spacer bezels, and these I have in the gunmetal color, so you can kind of play around with what color you want to do. We have them in silver, gold, brass, gunmetal, and copper. I chose to do the darker to make the butterfly wings really stand out. The butterfly wings are the Paisley Duo, which is a 2-hole paisley shape that is flat on both sides, so you only need one, rather than like a StormDuo, which you need 2 different sides. You could also do this design if you do have StormDuos with StormDuos as well. When you're looking at the bracelet, you're going to need 4 of the Paisley Duos per component, and chances are you're going to need between 5 and 6 of the components. And then the same with the gunmetal, you'll need 1 per each. To go between our butterflies, we have some StormDuos and DiscDuos. The DiscDuos act as the separator, and then the StormDuos kind of pull in and create that almost floating butterfly look. I'll be using the Aztec Gold and then the Jet Hematite to go along with my gunmetal of my 2-hold spacer. The Paisley bead is the white red luster color, and then I'm dropping in the crystals into that spacer of the light amethyst AB. To go along with that AB color, I have a crystal AB button that's going to hold and close off the whole thing together. You are going to be needing 2 needles for this, so 2 size 10 needles, and about 5 feet of wildfire beading thread in the 0.006. You'll also need some E6000 glue in order to glue down your crystals into place. You just drop a little bit of glue onto it and then glue that crystal down. You can either begin by gluing in your crystals, or I'll glue mine in towards the end to add that pop of color. To begin, I want you to have that 5 feet of beading thread with a needle on either end and get ready to begin Rita's beautiful Stormy butterfly design. So to begin the Stormy butterfly bracelet, like I said, what you want to do is make sure that you have 2 needles, 1 on either side of your thread. And because we are using 2 needles, as we progress, a lot of this is going to be mimicked one side and the other. Whatever you do on the right hand side, you're also going to do on the left hand side. Because again, we are starting with 2 needles, we are also going to have the opportunity to start with our clasp. I have a crystal AB cup button here, which I think goes along nicely when we drop in our chatons to that kind of AB glitz to add to this bracelet. So to begin, I'm going to put on my needle an 11, 8, 11. So we're getting that pink color in right there in the middle. Then with both needles, I want to put the cup button on with 1 needle going through 1 hole and 1 needle going through the other hole. I'm doing it so that the dome shape is down, so it's almost like an upside down bowl. What's going to happen then is those seed beads that we added, that little pop of color, are going to sit right in the middle there near that AB coating. Coming out the back of the design then, we're going to create a little bit of a triangle. I like to do that every time I have a clasp because it allows you, or a button rather, it allows somewhere for the loop to go around the button to sit comfortably and nicely. Coming out of the back of the button, on your right and your left needle, place 180. Follow it with 2 11s, and then we are going to bring it together again to that triangle, crisscrossing through an 80. So 1 needle is going to go in from the right hand side over to the left, and the second needle is going to go from the left to the right. When you pull that down on your thread, you want to make sure that you have equal distance and equal amounts of thread on either side of that bead. So if you have your 2.5 feet on the right hand side, you want 2.5 on the left. A little bit less since you've already gone through the cup button. Anytime I put on a clasp or closure, I like to reinforce by taking another thread or 2 passes, so 3 altogether, through that clasp. However, because this bracelet goes up and comes back down the bracelet as we add in kind of the outer edge and connect to the second holes, we'll have an opportunity to do that at the very end. So at this point, we want to get started, and we are going to get started with our DiscDuo bead. In Rita's design, when she had the DiscDuo bead used, she did not put anything on any decoration on the side of the DiscDuo. That's something for you to choose if you would like to do so. With both the right and the left needle, I'm going to add 2 11s onto each needle. Just like we've been doing that, I'm going to crisscross through my Aztec Gold DiscDuo. So one needle is going to go from left to right, the other left or right to left, and I'm going through the same hole currently. And that's going to get that established and right there for the beginning. We're going to progress then from the bottom hole to the top hole. Again, if you would like to decorate the sides, you could use 3 15-0s. I'm going to keep it blank like Rita kept hers. So one needle again is going to go from right to left, the other left to right. And just to show you, I have a little bit of a blocked hole. I went in with the opposite side, or went into the opposite side and just pushed my needle through, and I was able to unclog some of that coating that had clogged the hole. So to crisscross and step up, one needle is going to go through left to right and the other right to left through that upper hole. Those threads then get pulled tightly and sit right on the outside of that Aztec Gold bead. From here, we're actually going to begin putting on our first set of our StormDuos. When you're looking and working with the StormDuos, we want the StormDuos to sit so they are cupping the DiscDuo. So that curvature there, that curve, rather than sit out, it's going to curve in towards the center of the DiscDuo. So just to lay it out here so you can see, both the needles we're going to pick up on the skinnier side of the DiscDuo, or where that curve starts. So it's going to curve and kind of sit in. So my needle on the right hand side is going to go through one DiscDuo, going through the curved portion, through the little opening, and coming out through the bigger back side. And that's on the right hand side. Also on the left hand side, same thing. We're going through that curved section of our StormDuo. Again, the StormDuo is always going to sit so that it's hugging that DiscDuo in the middle. At this point now, we are going to get ready to kind of talk about our Paisley Duos. So the Paisley Duos also have a kind of curvature towards them. Unlike the Zoli Duos, they're flat on both sides and they're a little bit larger, so that way they can be used interchangeably, just like the StormDuo beads. As we work with them, we want our butterflies to almost appear like they are flying. So as we build them in, they're going to face basically outward away from the butterfly's body. So you can kind of put that out there just so you can see it. And then obviously our crystal is going to sit in the middle once we get that. So this is kind of the look of those wings flying outward. To step up from the outer hole of, or the first hole of the StormDuo to the inner hole of the StormDuo, you're going to do just like you did with the DiscDuo, where we have our thread going along the top here. We're going to go right through both StormDuo beads through the top hole, with the needle on the right coming out the left, and the needle on the left, if I can get a hold of it here, is going to go through those top holes, stepping up to the right hand side. So there's a lot of crisscrossing. This could be done with one needle as well. I find it's really easy to teach beginners and new people how to do it with 2 needles, and that's why we're doing 2. From here, we're going to connect to the inner side now of those Paisley Duos. So the Paisley Duo, again, we're going to make sure that it's facing, that it's arching towards the StormDuo on both sides. We're going to go with the inner hole, and we're passing through the inner hole of the Paisley Duo, then passing through the actual hole of the 2-hole spacer bezel, and then through the Paisley Duo. So you can see the second hole of the Paisley Duo is going to stay open. We'll come back on our pass down, back down the bracelet and connect to that. Also, we're going to be going through the StormDuo again, so you won't see the thread that is exposed along the side. Give it a nice little tight pull, and you can see our first butterfly in effect. From here, we are going to repeat the StormDuo, DiscDuo, and then we just repeat the butterfly. So it's kind of repetitive once you get how to put the StormDuo on again. So remember again, when you're looking at the StormDuo, you want it so that the upper portion of the StormDuo is going to sit curving in towards the DiscDuo. So when you pick it up, if you need to, you can kind of put it towards that. It's almost going to be that those ends are touching. So as I take my needle on the right and the left, I'm going to pass through both of those StormDuo beads so they have an opening there in the middle for the DiscDuo to sit in. I take one thread through one way and one thread and needle through the opposite direction, crisscrossing through those StormDuo beads. Pretty. And then as we step up, Rita used in her bracelet too some beautiful blues and silvers. I thought I'd go a little bit more pink with the butterfly theme in mind. And I'm going to step up. I'll show you here on the left or on the right. So what I did is I stepped up from the bottom hole to the top hole of the StormDuos, getting ready then to put in my DiscDuo. Likewise on the left-hand side, I'm going to step from the bottom hole to the top hole of the StormDuo. Give it a nice little tight yank, and then get ready to do my DiscDuo. So DiscDuo, just like we did at the opener, the DiscDuo is going to have the two holes. You're going through the first hole, crisscrossing through, one right to left, another left to right. Pull that down next to your project. Right, plop in there. And then again, crisscross through, right to left, left to right, and now we get to repeat this. So this is one whole unit, and then we'll go back in and we'll add some of our 11s and our 8s along the edges here, connecting the 8s in along here and some 11s in connecting along the sides and reinforcing along that metal as well. So once you are done with 5 to 6 of your butterflies, just to show you, the very last step we'll do is actually glue in our little chaton, but you can see that little sparkle and shine. Also, if you want to, you can throw in some crystals along the side to make it even brighter of those Paisley Duos when we come back down also. So I'm going to continue adding in my butterflies and our Paisley Duos and our StormDuos and our DiscDuos. So kind of all of our specialty beads are getting added in right now as we progress. And then we'll come back together and I'll show you how we're going to make our loop for our button and then continue back down the project. As you're progressing with your butterfly bodies, I just wanted to make sure to touch on the fact that as you are adding those 2-hole spacer bezels, you want to make sure that they're obviously all facing upward. You don't want to have one facing one way and one facing the other way, because eventually you're going to take some E6000 glue and glue in those nice crystals. So keep in mind that as you're working and progressing, you just want to make sure that those open butterfly bodies all stay to the top of your project. Once you're done the baseline and have all of your butterflies established, it is time to make a loop for your button to fit through. Now I have 5 butterflies on my bracelet, but I tend to have a smaller wrist, so you may need a 6th. If you have the problem that you have a bigger wrist or a smaller wrist and you're not sure how, keep in mind you can always end or start at a different location in the bracelet, which would allow for a difference in length. So what I'm going to do is mimic the start with my right needle, starting by adding 2 11s, and then I'm going to add my 8/0 seed bead. On the opposite needle, add 2 11s, and then I'm going to cross through that 8/0 seed bead going the opposite direction. So just like we've been doing a lot of that crisscross action. You're doing that same thing here at the very end, which is again going to mimic exactly what you have going on at the end. So with the right needle then, the one that's currently on the right hand side, I'm going to pick up a progression of 11 O's. About 28 will fit around a cup button. I use this opportunity usually to kind of clean up my bead mat and get everything established, because at this point I'm finished with my specialty beads and I'm ready to just pretty much use seed beads and my crystals. So making my loop then, we have to come back down the project to add in our second row and connect all those outer loops, but we are not going to be coming back down to the starting end. So unlike the other side where I said we would have the opportunity to reinforce and do more thread through, on this opposite side, we're going to do that right away here. So with the thread that's in the hand and that you put your seed beads on, you're going back through that 8/0 seed bead that we crossed through to make a loop. I'm going to go back through that one more time. You can either alternate the thread or do the same thread. It's up to you. Going back through all of those beads. If you want to, you can also do a peyote loop. It would look nice. In her design, Rita had a magnetic clasp with wire guards. So you can kind of use a variety of things. And back out that 8/0. So I did 2 loops with the one thread, and now I'll do a third loop 3 times the charm through those seed beads with the opposite thread. The reason that I'm alternating and not just going and looping through again with the other thread is so that your threads do stay consistent on each side as far as the lengths go. And again, now that we're down the bracelet, we're going to be coming back down to the starting side to the loop, or to the button rather, after we're done this loop. Once you make your loop and you reinforce it, give it a nice little tight yank. Make sure that loop before coming back to is going to fit comfortably through that cup button. A design idea, if you do want to keep kind of that butterfly and that sparkle look, you can also put a 10mm Rivoli or inside the cup button and glue it with your E6000 as you're gluing in your chatons. So now that we're done our loop, we are going to come back and get to our starting point here of adding in our beads, basically retracing our steps and retracing our thread, zigzagging through the beads until we get to the outer side of the first StormDuo. So just to show you, I'm going to go through the beads, retracing exactly what and where my thread is. Going back through that DiscDuo. Again, if you want to, I'm staying true to the design. If you want to, you can decorate the sides of those beads there and out. Thread on the opposite side, same thing, getting to our starting area. Go through the 2 11s, through your DiscDuo, which has lots of threads going through it now, so it's getting tight. Through the DiscDuo, then again, zigzagging through the holes, and out through our StormDuo. When we come out through the StormDuo, then it is time for us to get ready to add in our seed beads connecting to the outer loops of the butterfly wings of the Paisley Duos, as well as connecting back in to our 2-hole spacer and then back through to the StormDuo. So showing you having done just the first little row there on the left-hand side, which was the right, and I kind of flipped it over. I want to just show you how we get the antennas on our butterfly and kind of how that gets decorated. So you can either use a 4mm bead, or in my case I'm using the 11 and the 8/0. You have one 11 that goes on and one 8/0 seed bead. You're going to go through the outer hole of the Paisley Duo. Then the magic number is 4. We're doing 4 11s. Move those Paisleys out just a tiny little bit, and you're going back through that 2-hole spacer. That's going to get that antenna look on the butterflies, and I kind of just on the other side just kind of played around with it and positioned it so that way it didn't stick out at all. Got it sitting nice and flat. Coming out of that 2-hole spacer, then you're going to repeat 4 seed beads go up through that Paisley Duo. Again, kind of arrange it so they're sitting nice and on the side and not triangling at all. Then add in your 8/0 and an 11/0 on your needle. You're going to sew through the StormDuo second hole, and that's why I said you really wouldn't see that thread that's in there on the actual design, because you're covering it up here on the outer edge. Then you're going to sneak back to the StormDuo for the next bead by crisscrossing through the bead. Just like we did at the start, you're crisscrossing through that DiscDuo. Try not to sew through any thread. So I'm crisscrossing through the DiscDuo, both holes, top and bottom hole. And then I'm going to get my thread, just like we did at the start, to come through and out the StormDuo. When I'm out the StormDuo, then we just progress again with our 11 then 8, then our 4 11s catching on to the 2 hold spacer. And again, everything that happens on the right happens on the left. So once I get it done on the left, then I do it on the right. So there I am, ready to progress and ready to start decorating and making my antenna for my next set of my butterflies. Now that I'm done decorating and I have all my antennas in there, you can see that it looks really dark for the butterflies because we get to do some of the magic thing of adding the crystals soon, and that'll change the look completely. So what we're going to do is, as you come out the back, we're just reinforcing the clasp. So like I said before, I like to do about 3 times through. I have my thread and needles coming out my DiscDuo and going back through. One of my needles I'm going to let just sit off to the side. So I'm going to let the one in the left hand side sit off, since I comfortably sew with my right hand better. I'm going to sew through the 11s, the 8, and then up through the 11s, up through the clasp. And when you sew through a cut button, if you do have beads up there, it is the easiest to sew through that first bead as you sew through the button. And then same deal, if you have a bead at the top, sew through that individually, and then the bead on the side, sew down through there. With that same thread in hand, I am going to go back through the 8/0, and then just while I have it in my hand, I'm going to use this same needle and thread as my 3rd time, going through and reinforcing that clasp. Coming down the opposite side here, down through the beads, and then as I sew through the 8/0 at the very end here, I'm going to sew through the 8/0, bring it down the 2 11s on the opposite side, and then be done with my thread ends. So to be done with my thread ends, I'm going to just take the 2 ends, tie a knot, and kind of tuck it up in there. I probably could have used black thread for this project also. That would have made it, with these colors, not stand out as much. And there I have that knot. Grab your threads out now, or your thread burner, burn down the edges of thread, and then get ready with your E6000 to glue in your chatons. So just to show you, I have my chatons sitting here. And again, these are SS20. You can use the next size up as well. And by the time you add these in here, you can use 20, 24, 26 in these little settings. You can see how much brighter and how much shinier it makes the bracelet, and really adds that pop and increases that look of the butterfly look. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a little dab of E6000 into each one of those holes and glue my butterflies, my crystals into my butterflies. So once you glue in all of your crystals and burn off the ends of your thread, you have your lovely Stormy butterflies bracelet completed. This would be a really cute barrette, earrings. You could even do this as a necklace. You could do different colors of butterflies, switch out which beads you have kind of connecting them, and have fun making them all different colors. So take this and kind of run with it. I also thank Rita so much for allowing me to do the design and for playing around with a bunch of the Potomac Bead Company exclusive and coming up with these really cute butterflies. As always, if you need the materials, you can go back to the beginning of the video where I listed them out, or below the video to the date stamp, which had that show more button, and order from us at PotomacBeads.com and PotomacBeads.eu. Also, if you want to stay connected with us, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel, keep an eye on us, and check us out on social media. And also, if you get a chance, you can become a member of our beading group for beads and jewelry making. Beading and jewelry making is a great, wonderful group with people showing their designs like this one, doing, giving ideas and inspiration, and really being a great part of the community. Again, thank you so much to Rita for the beautiful Stormy butterfly design. And everyone, have a wonderful time coming out and making some of this fun bracelet.